Ethan Cole walked into the courtroom with his head down and wrists trembling. Only 17, yet the weight of the world hung on his shoulders. Reporters whispered, calling him the silent thief. His public defender adjusted his tie nervously as flashes from cameras lit up the marble hall. Judge Laura Bennett entered, sharp and composed, her gavel striking once. The sound echoed like thunder. Ethan didn't lift his gaze. He hadn't spoken a word since his arrest. To the crowd, his silence screamed guilt. But behind that quiet stare hid something no one cared to ask about: the truth. The prosecutor stood tall, voice sharp with confidence. "Ethan Cole, you are charged with armed robbery at Dawson's Market." He pointed toward the evidence screen, grainy footage of a masked figure, similar height, same hoodie. Gasps rippled through the courtroom. Ethan's lawyer, Mr. Davis, looked uneasy. "Your Honor, the boy maintains innocence," he said quietly. Judge Bennett nodded, but her eyes stayed on Ethan. The silence in the room was suffocating. Every eye waited for him to speak, but he didn't. He just gripped the table, staring at the wood grain as if it could somehow protect him from judgment. "Mr. Cole," Judge Bennett began, her tone measured, "you do understand the charges against you?" Ethan nodded. "Would you like to say anything in your defense?" He stayed motionless. The prosecutor smirked. "See, Your Honor, no remorse, no explanation." The jury shifted uncomfortably. It wasn't defiance. It was something deeper. Fear flickered in Ethan's eyes, but no sound came. His mother, seated behind him, wept softly. Bennett sighed, lowering her pen. "You have a voice, son," she said gently. Ethan blinked, then looked away. He wanted to speak. He just didn't believe anyone would listen. The prosecutor played surveillance clips, each one more damning than the last. A dark figure running, a stolen cash register, and Ethan's backpack found nearby. "His prints were on it," the prosecutor declared. Ethan closed his eyes. He'd told them before. He found the bag outside the store. No one cared. Mr. Davis whispered, "Please, Ethan, you need to help me help you." Still, silence. The judge leaned back, her gaze thoughtful. There was something in the boy's stillness, not arrogance, not guilt, but sorrow. And somewhere in that sorrow, a quiet truth waited to surface. The prosecutor pressed harder. "Why were you near the store?" No answer. "Why run from police?" Ethan's hands shook. "You're just another kid playing gangster," the prosecutor sneered. That word, gangster, echoed painfully. Ethan clenched his jaw. Judge Bennett's gavel struck once. "Counsel, enough!" The courtroom hushed. She turned to Ethan, voice softer now. "Mr. Cole, this is your chance to be heard." A long pause. Then, one small whisper. "They won't believe me." It was the first sound he'd made in days. The room went still. For the first time, everyone leaned forward, listening. Ethan's whisper trembled, but grew stronger. "I didn't rob the store. I saw who did. I ran because he said he'd hurt my mom." Murmurs filled the courtroom. Judge Bennett raised her hand for silence. "Who is he?" Ethan hesitated. His lawyer stood. "Your Honor, we request to present new evidence." The prosecutor rolled his eyes. Convenient timing. But the judge nodded. Ethan's eyes filled with tears as he reached into his folder. A sketch he'd drawn of the robber. He slid it to the bailiff. Bennett studied it carefully. Something about it felt hauntingly familiar. Mr. Davis called a surprise witness. The store owner, Mrs. Dawson. She walked up, voice trembling. "That drawing, that's the man who threatened me too." Gasps erupted. The prosecutor froze. The judge leaned forward, interest sharp. "Are you certain?" Mrs. Dawson nodded. "Yes, and that boy tried to stop him." She pointed at Ethan. "He was shouting for help before the robber ran." The room shifted from hostility to shock. The same silent boy everyone judged was actually trying to protect the store. For the first time, Ethan looked up. His silence had finally spoken. The judge requested the full surveillance footage, not just the edited version shown before. This time, the truth was clear. Ethan appeared moments after the robbery, chasing the thief out of frame. His hoodie matched by coincidence. The real criminal was still at large. The prosecutor's face drained of color. Judge Bennett closed the folder slowly. "Mr. Cole," she said, "you've been misunderstood." Ethan lowered his head, tears spilling quietly. His mother wept in relief. The courtroom, once filled with accusation, now overflowed with guilt of another kind. Collective shame for not listening sooner. Judge Bennett spoke firmly. "All charges against Ethan Cole are dismissed." A wave of emotion swept through the courtroom. Ethan's lawyer smiled weakly, whispering, "You did good, kid." But Ethan didn't smile. He just looked at the judge and said softly, "Thank you for hearing me." The judge nodded. Sometimes, silence is the only truth that survives the noise. The gavel came down one last time, not as punishment, but as release. The crowd applauded quietly. For the first time, Ethan's voice wasn't needed. The truth had already spoken for him. Ethan Cole's story became a reminder. Silence isn't always defiance. Sometimes, it's survival. In a world that rushes to judge, one quiet boy taught an entire courtroom to listen. Judge Bennett often said later, "He didn't win a case, he restored humanity." And that's what this story is about. The power of patience, the cost of assumption, and the moment truth finally finds its voice. Watch how a silent boy turned judgment into understanding. Because sometimes, the loudest truth is spoken without words.